Hi, welcome to the channel, or welcome back if you've been here before. My name is Janelle, and today I'm going to walk you through a really simple crochet flower project. I'm going to be making a wisteria garland, and you can see it here behind me, sort of. So I think my main inspiration for this was probably Bridgerton, since in the show the Bridgerton house is pretty much covered in wisteria along the front over the door, and it just looks so beautiful. So I wanted to make something for myself that kind of captured that same look. I've also been spending a lot of time on Pinterest lately, maybe a little too much time, and I've been seeing a lot of floral crocheted garlands on there as well, not just wisteria, but other flowers too. So I might try my hand at making different types of flowers later on as well. But for now, we're going to stick with wisteria, and it's super easy to make. So even if you have really basic crochet skills, you should still be able to do this. So all you're going to need is a crochet hook, and I'm going to use a 4mm crochet hook, some yarn in green and purple. And I'm going to be demonstrating with this kind of mauvey purple, but any light purple will do. Of course, you could do other colors or darker purple if you want, but if you want it to have more of a natural wisteria look, you're probably going to want to stick with more kind of like a pastel lilac sort of purple. In my garland, I actually used 2 different shades of purple just to give it kind of a more natural feel, but the tones are pretty close. So one is this mauvey color, and the other is sort of like a lilac-y sort of purple. So to start off with, I'm going to show you how to make the vine, I guess, that the wisteria is hanging off of. So that will be our base for the project that will hold all of the flowers together. I'm actually going to start by doing a loop at the end. I guess you can't see on here, but I have loops at either end, so it's easier to hang up. So we'll start by doing a slip knot and then chain 10. And then when you have your 10 chain, you're gonna just loop it back around and slip through the first chain to create a loop. And then from there, I'm going to make an I-cord, and there are several different ways that you can make I-cords. You can do it in crochet, but I'm actually going to switch to a couple of double-pointed knitting needles because I find that it's a lot easier to knit an I-cord than crochet one, because when you're crocheting, you have to drop your stitches and pick them back up, and there's just, I don't know, I find that there's too much risk in that. I'm always worried that I'm gonna lose a stitch and have to restart, and it's just, I find it a lot easier to knit it. You can also get little gadgets that will create I-cords as well, so whatever method works for you, go ahead and do that. I'm gonna make a 3-stitch I-cord. So at this point, I'm gonna switch to my knitting needles. And I'm just using 5mm needles for this. I'm going to just take the stitch that I had on my crochet hook and switch it over to my knitting needle. And then I'm going to cast on 2 more stitches. Once you have 3 stitches on your needle, all you have to do is push the stitches to the other end and knit through them. And you're just going to keep doing that on repeat until you get the length of I-cord that you want. So I made mine 6 feet, but if you're making yours to fit a particular space and you need it to be longer or shorter, then you can absolutely do that. You'll just need to keep in consideration that if you make it shorter, you'll probably need less wisteria flowers, and if you're making it longer, you'll need more. So again, for the I-cord, just knitting the 3 stitches, pushing it to the other end of your double pointed needle, and then knitting them again. And you just do that over and over again. And honestly, it doesn't take that long. I think when I made this one, it took me about an hour to do the I-cord. And I had done another one with the crochet method, and it was at least double the amount of time. So again, it depends on what you're familiar with. If you know how to knit, I would suggest this method. But if you're much more comfortable with crochet, if you crochet a lot, it might be easier for you to do the crochet method. So now, just for demonstration purposes, once you're done making your I-cord, your vine is the length that you want it to be, and you need to bind it off. Again, with the knitting method, you can just do whatever kind of bind off method you like. So I'm just going to do standard one here until I'm down to 1 stitch. And then I'm going to put that 1 stitch back on to my crochet hook. And then I'm going to chain another 10 stitches, just like we did at the beginning. And again, loop back to your first chain and do a slip stitch. And then you can just cut the end slip that through and then just weave in your end. So that's how you do the vine. And now I'll show you how to do the wisteria itself. And for mine, I did it in 3 different lengths. So I have like a short, medium, long length. Overall, I think they are a little bit on the short side. So if you feel like they're not long enough, you can absolutely make them longer, but I'm going to show you the sizes that I made. You can kind of just add on until the length is the way that you like it. So I'm basically just doing loops of chains. So again, super easy to make. You're basically just chaining and slipping. So at the bottom of each of the sections of flower, I'm doing 2 loops of 2 chains, and then 3 loops of 3 chains, 4 loops of 4 chains, and so on. So I think the longest one was up to 8 and the shortest one is 6. So I'm going to show you how to make the longest one, and then I'll just give you numbers for the medium and small, since it's the same technique to do all 3. So I'm going to start by chaining 35. So just do a slip knot, leaving a little bit of a tail because you're going to use this to tie your flower onto the vine. So slip knot and then chain 35. So once you have your chain done, you're actually going to chain 2 more. And then you're going to do a slip stitch, skipping the last 2 chains that you just made. And then do another chain 2. And then a slip stitch in the next chain. So you have 2 loops that are chain 2, and now we're going to do 3 loops of chain 3. So we're going to chain 3, slip stitch in the next loop. So that's 1, chain 3, slip into the next loop. That's 2, chain 3, slip into the next loop, and that's 3. So then we're going to move on to chain 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, slip into the next chain, 1, 2, 3, 4, slip, 1, 2, 3, 4, slip, 1, 2, 3, 4, slip, and that's 4. So then we move on to 5, and we're going to do 5 loops of 5 chain, 6 loops of 6 chain, 7 of 7, and 8 of 8. And then at that point you should be back at the end of the original chain that you made. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that, and then I'll be back to show you how to finish that off. I have all of my loops done. So I'm going to just trim off the end here, and I'll just slip my end through the last stitch on there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that end that I just slipped, and I'm actually going to work it back through the 4th loop from the end. Count back 4 loops. There should be a space kind of just between loop 4 and 5. And I'm just going to insert my crochet hook, grab the end that I just slipped, and pull that through. So I'm now going to take my 2 ends and just tie them together. And then that just keeps the top of your flower from looking too droopy. Just kind of holds everything nice and tight at the top. And then that's your finished bunch of wisteria. So again, this is the long one. So to do the medium length one, you would just chain 27 instead of 35, and then just do up to the 7 loops of 7 chains. And then for the short length, you would just do up to 6 loops. And to start off with, you would chain 20. But other than that, the process is exactly the same. So for the garland that I made, I just did a variety of the 3 different sizes in the 2 different colors. I didn't really count and make sure that I haven't had an even number of each. So you could do it all one size, all in one color, but I find that having a little bit of variety helps it keep more of a natural look. And I wouldn't say there's a specific number of wisteria bunches that you need to do. For mine, I think I ended up with 28 or 29, but if you want it to look fuller, you could absolutely do more. If you don't want to do as many, if you get tired of making these, you can stop and just have less. I did mine in sort of different bunches. I didn't do them all kind of evenly spaced because again, I wanted it to look more natural. So I have some grouped in 2s, 3s, and 4s, and again of different lengths in each grouping and the 2 different colors. So lastly, I will show you how to attach your wisteria to the vine, and I think I'll just do that as a close-up just so that you can actually see what I'm doing. So I have my tiny little vine here that I made just for demonstration purposes, and then I have my finished wisteria piece here. To attach the flowers to the vine, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my crochet hook and find the spot that I want to attach the flower to. And then I'm just going to go through one stitch. So it'll be 2 loops of yarn there. And I'm going to pull through one of the ends of the wisteria. And then I'm going to go through the next stitch beside the one I just pulled that through. And then bring through the other wisteria end. And then I'm just going to do a double knot. Just make sure that's on securely. And then because the vine has 3 stitches all the way around and you're just pulling through one, the side that you pulled it through is going to be the back. So you're not really going to see this top part because it'll be hanging like this. So from here, and you can either do this with the crochet hook, or you can use the tapestry needle to thread your yarn through and just go through a couple of stitches in the vine and trim off the ends. Since I have my crochet hook here with me, I'm just going to use that. So along the same row here of stitches, just go a couple back. Just make sure you're going through the middle of your stitches here and not going all the way through to the other side. Just pull through the end, bring that all the way through, and then the other one can go through the other side. Again, just under a couple stitches. Then you can trim off the excess. So you are going to see the little knot at the top, but again, if it's at the back, you're not really going to see it when it's hung up. And then the only other thing that you would need to do is to finish off the ends of your I-cord where you have your loops attached. So again, same thing, you can either use a tapestry needle or your crochet hook, and you can just take the end and kind of weave it through. Just take it under a couple of the stitches and then just tie it off. And if you want to make sure the end isn't showing, you can do the same thing that you did with the wisteria and just go back under a couple of stitches, pull this through, and then snip off the end. So the final touch that I added to mine was to wrap a string light around it. If I can get this to turn on. So once again, it's a really easy project. It turns out really cute. It's something that works great as decor, either just to add something cute and whimsical to a room, or it would be great as wedding decor, or you can make it as a gift for a friend. So I hope you give this project a try. If you do, please tag me on Instagram. I would love to see the finished product. And I will link all of my socials below, including Instagram and Pinterest. So I'll just wrap this up by saying thank you so much for watching. If you like the video, please hit the like button below, and please subscribe if you haven't done so already. If you want to check out some of my other videos, I will have those right here. And I hope to see you again soon. Bye!